it seems like we had such a boom time during COVID, and then um, ever since COVID, it's been a little slow. And I talked to a lot of technology companies, and they're feeling it too because they're selling to freight brokers or warehousing companies or freight forwarders, and all those guys have been buying technology. They bought a lot during COVID. They saw the need for it, but now it feels like the margins are compressed and the growth just isn't there. And everyone keeps saying next quarter, in 6 months. I stopped even asking people, when will it come back? And I think it's bottomed out, but it just doesn't seem to be surging. So anyway, what's your take on this?
Yeah, I mean, we're all familiar with what happened kind of post. We're all familiar with what happened with the beginning of the pandemic, what that did to the supply chain, really kind of shutting a lot of things down and really hurting the industry. And then we're all familiar with the massive boom that happened kind of tail end of, I don't say post COVID, but it was kind of the tail end of COVID plus post COVID, just a massive growth in the industry from a logistics side, plus from a trucking side. I mean, you saw a lot of trucking companies enter the marketplace. You saw a lot of logistics companies enter the marketplace. And it was a massive booming industry and an issue we're going to talk about in a little bit. I'm sure is freight fraud. We saw a massive influx of freight fraud because of this. But with the current marketplace, I think as that has kind of tailed off, the volumes have certainly calmed down from the massive post COVID buying, if you will. We're in this lull, like you mentioned, and I we talked about conferences. I go to these a lot of these conferences, and you're right. The economist that gets up there is like, "Hey, next quarter is going to be great," or we keep going every quarter after quarter after quarter. And I think there's probably some light at the end of the tunnel eventually. The last I heard was the end of this year. Hopefully, we're going to see kind of a shift. But I think a lot of it, a lot of it's baked into the economy. I don't pretend to be an economist, but it is a lot of uncertainty. We hear from our members. We don't take a political stance on the tariffs that are coming out from the Trump administration, but we hear a lot from our members in terms of the tariffs and the impact that they're having on the supply chain. And if you're in a niche industry, talking with a member who does oversized, overdimensional loads, who's ordering a lot of their clients or some of these big manufacturers like Caterpillar or John Deere. That industry is probably put a lot of product into place before the tariffs went into place. I know a lot of them are on kind of a hold now. And there's just not the volume there anymore, or it's kind of a cease of operations to see what happens. So, as we're all feeling it, looking at our stock market, looking at our 401ks, uncertainty isn't necessarily good for the stock market. The same's with the freight industry as well. You're going to see a lot of ebb and flow in terms of market volatility. And that's really a lot of that's baked on uncertainty and what's going on with the overall economy. I think, like I said, I think we're going to get to a better place potentially by the end of the year, hopefully. But again, some of this uncertainty's got to get cleared up.